make that deadline on time and get our reports ready as well as all our data. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourselves otherwise. So it looks like I have sound. There's a sound problem. Hope everybody is hearing me well.
Martha, I'm sorry.
Martha?
Real quick, your microphone is really low. If you go to the volume control next to your green microphone icon, you can select or adjust your microphone volume and pump it up just a little bit. And to everybody else, if you can hear me, I hope you can, you also have control over volume using your own device's volume control. So pump the volume up, and between the two, we should be able to hear Martha.
Right. How about that? I adjusted my volume control. Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Well, as I was saying, I hope everybody is doing great this Wednesday morning and afternoon already. So let's get started with this AEBG data submission guidelines, again, for quarter 3. It's going to be due on this April 30th, which contains data from July 1st, 2017 till March 31st of 2018, which is this month, last month. So on Head Start with this data submission, we can go to slide number 2, please. All right. So again, each quarter's data is submitted from the beginning of the program year, which is on July 1st, and it usually ends on the end of this quarter, which is March 31st. We have this next month of April to get all our data in and do all our updates, or either import or scan the records so we can get everything together by April 30th. All right, these 2 deliverables are due, which is the 3rd quarter data, including the TOPS Pro Enterprise. And that basically means that if you have the TOPS Pro Enterprise online, which I'm pretty sure everybody has already, TOPS Pro Enterprise online, there's nothing to worry about with this deliverable. The 3rd quarter data is, the data is already hosted on our online server. So there's nothing for you to send but the data integrity report, the AEBG data integrity report. The ways to we're going to talk a little bit more about the AEBG Data Integrity Report on how to generate it and much more. And there are 3 ways to send it, either fax, email, or mail a hard copy. Okay, so email, which is the easiest, fastest, and cheapest way to send it, fax or mail a hard copy to CASAs. And we're going to talk a little bit later more on the who to send it to. All right. On our next slide, preparing your TOPS Pro Enterprise data. So each agency pretty much needs to enter everybody who attends to your program to receive any services from one of those AEBG funded programs. Okay, so every student would need an entry record as listed on this slide, a pre-test, especially for those students who are enrolled on an ESL, ABE, and ASC program. Post-test, if they have enough hours of instruction for those who are enrolled in an ESL, ABE, and ASC program, as well as an update record and attendance hours. The update records are if any students have left the program throughout the course, or they have been receiving some learning outcomes, then an update record is recommended. Okay, now our next slide, we're going to talk about the entry record. As you can see here, the entry record is just a method of entering data into the system. And we choose the entry record because it brings up several pieces of information which include valuable demographic information, such as student name and address, as you can see, and compare both of these boxes, the students enrolled in one of the 7 AEBG program areas and who only received services but did not really enroll in a class. Please take a look at these two different boxes. As you can see, a lot of these are almost the same, so it will require for you to enter student name and address, demographics, labor force status, barriers to employment, if any. And here is where we see that so students who are enrolled in one of the 7 AEBG program areas can enter date of entry onto class and also onto the program or programs. And if there are any special programs under those programs, then they also must be entered as well. I see a comment from Karen Felice that says no volume. Is she, can everybody hear me? Okay, great, because I adjusted my volume. Very good. All right, let's see. Thank you so much for your yeses. All right, so for those students who are just receiving services but didn't go through with enrolling on a class or on a program, they should also be marked with the services that they have received. And if you have a Topsboro Enterprise update record or program update record on hand, or if you've seen these before, these services received are listed under bullet point or item number 8. You'll see all the services that received. We have a little screenshot in here for supportive training and transition services. So you will find those under item number 8 for that particular entry update form. All right, so moving on to the next slide, thank you. We have pre and post test information. As I was talking previously, for those students who are enrolled or who did get enrolled in the ABE, ASE, or ESL
someone wanted you to
program,
confirm
pre and post
the number of hours
are
that are needed for a post
for
test.
these students. The assessments approved. Yes. The number of hours, the minimum number of hours needed for post-testing a student that CASAS recommends is 40 hours. Well, the minimum is, yes, it's 40 hours of instruction, so they can have a gain. So you should post the student after 40 hours of instruction. We recommend 70 to 100 for getting best gains on those students, from 70 to 100. So I see another question. Actual minimum is 12. Recommended is from 70 to 100. So after spending 12 hours of instruction on a class, you can make an update on a student, but it's not recommended to post-test them. Okay? Is that clear? All right, so for CTE is not a program that requires pre or post testing, and the official response for post testing to get better gains is from 70 to 100 hours of instruction. It's not 40. So the 40 that I mentioned earlier is that is the minimum amount of hours required by the NRS. That's why that 40 popped up on my head. But the minimum required for NRS is 40. What we recommend is to post-test a student for those who have between 70 to up to 100 hours of instruction to get better gains. Okay. You can also send any further questions in regards to hours and post-testing students to our tech support email, and we will display that a little bit later on our PowerPoint presentation here. All right, so for update records, we have several points in here which include the date of update, which is very important to track down those hours and those update information. The class ID is also included in this update record. Very important to be able to track those students onto their own classes, as well as the instructional program should be marked in the update record. The other services received that we were talking about with supportive training and transition services as well, they can also be entered in that update record, and whether they are enrolled in classes or not, or onto an AEBG program. Also, any other additional learner results for those students who met any goals or have any learner results. Okay, and lastly, update record must be completed if the student has left the program. I see a few questions in here in this chat box for any uploads. We're going to talk a little bit about importing data and attendance hours in just a few moments, okay? Thank you. All right, here you go. Attendance hours. Some of you may have a attendance system. There are several in the field, such as ASAP, Schoolhouse, AIM, Banner, or other. You can have your own built-in attendance system by your programming team, or just have a spreadsheet that you could accommodate to address the fields. You can definitely contact tech support for assistance on approving any files, but for the known ones, which are ASAP, the ones that you see on the screen, most commonly known, you can definitely grab that data or export it out of those systems and import it into TOPS Pro Enterprise, because they talk between themselves. So for including all attendance hours, you would need to select from July 1st to the end of this current quarter, which was March 31st. Then if using this any of these third-party attendance systems, you would export your files from your attendance system, such as ASAP or Schoolhouse, and make sure that they are exported as CSV files, comma-separated value files. You can save them onto your desktop or onto any destination on your computer where you normally save these type of files. I suggest you save them, and then when you go into TOPS Pro Enterprise, using the import wizard, you will be able to import that data into TOPS Pro Enterprise. Okay. So I see another question. Do we need daily attendance, or is cumulative okay? Cumulative attendance should be fine, because that will bring over the total amount of records, or the total amount of hours, excuse me, for those records that you selected to export from your third-party attendance system. So cumulative, you would make sure that that would bring over the total amount of hours for a student and not a partial amount of hours. Okay. Going on to the next slide, it says improve literacy skills for high school diploma. The progress towards the diploma, and this is a new feature here, it requests participants. For those who have improved any of the ASE low to ASE high as their instructional level, either who completed enough high school credits to be on the ASE low or on the ASE high level. The instructional programs entered for those individuals should be high school diploma for those who are learning or getting towards getting the high school diploma. Their instructional level should be ASC low or ASC high. And it specifies here either through pretest or self-reported on the entry record. And this should be on number 18. The instructional level, they can self-report on ASC low or ASC high as well. Now, if this learner is on an ASC low instructional level, then this learner needs to mark themselves ASC high or earned their high school diploma. And if the student or learner is self-reported ASC high, then they achieve the high school diploma by marking them earn high school diploma on the update record. All right. Okay, I see a question from Fabiola. It says, can we preset the instructional level ASC low by tagging the class? It depends on what that class is. If that class has high school diploma at the instructional program set, you need to also mark the student as ASC. If he already earned the high school diploma, he should be at an ASC high instructional level. Okay, hope that answers your question, or if not, we can just do another private chat a little bit later, if that's okay. I see another question. If a student has passed a section of the GED, does this fall under improved literacy skills? Right. It really depends on their test score. Thank you, Karen. It's very important that what their test results show on the chart, and that will either be marked self-reported for ASC high as instructional level, or need to self-report that for a particular student. Okay. Our next slide here, I'm sorry, I'm going to move forward with the importing data at third-party system, but we can come back to some of these questions that are being unanswered, if that's okay with you, so we can move forward. We have a specific allocated time for this training. Okay. Let's see, importing the data from a third-party system. We have, under the Tools menu, we have a third-party import wizard, and just make sure that you have your CSV file from your attendance system, whichever you have, and go to the Tools menu, and then click on the third-party import wizard, and just follow the directions on the wizard, doing the WIOA import formats. You're going to see two different options, the WIA and then old WIA and new WIOA import formats. Make sure you select the new WIOA import formats. And also, when you're importing these files, these must contain the same type of classes or same information that corresponds to a specific class that you already may have created in TE. Otherwise, it can create new records in TOPS Pro Enterprise. So the goal is to update the existing records and bring over new records if that's the case. Okay. Yes. Sorry if I am not addressing all the questions one by one, but definitely please, I appreciate your patience, but you can also send them to techsupport@casas.org, because you can be addressed on one-on-one on the tech support team. And there are several staff members that monitor this email address. So be sure that somebody will be responding to all your inquiries. And if not, we will be definitely sending them to the proper party for for response. Okay? Thank you. And moving forward here, if you are not using an attendance system, that is okay too, because you can definitely manually enter hours of instruction or attendance hours by using the add update record. Well, this is just a method of entering hours of instruction. There are a couple ways of entering them. First, by going into this first picture here, we'll see that has add entry update record. Once you open the entry update record, you'll see the second screenshot in here, and it says selecting student update cumulated or student update. In the student update cumulated category, you need to make sure that you enter the total amount of hours that the student has spent in the system, in the program, or in the class. Okay? And for the student update, if you're just adding a couple more hours or 10 hours for a specific week, then you can just add that category. Again, the student update cumulated and student update could be a whole other different topic, a whole different training on that. And if you have questions on what these two categories do, please feel free to send them to techsupport@casas.org, or you can call us our 800 number, which we're going to display a little bit later in one of the other slides. And we can send these, like Veronica said at the beginning, send this PowerPoint presentation to your email directly, or you can download it here from the application that we're looking at right now. All right, our next slide shows a daily attendance chart here. The screenshot is showing the daily attendance format for these a specific class. We are looking at the North City class here at the Rolling Hills database. So you can just be very specific about the day that you want to enter the hours for, and these students must already be enrolled in that particular class. So you may select daily attendance and pick the week or the day that the students were attending to that specific class. All right, some of the other questions that I see here can be addressed to tech support as well. From the main student page, yes, you can definitely add an entry update record. I'm going to go back really quick on the previous slide, and the first purple arrow marks add entry update record towards the upper left corner, or to the left side. You'll see add entry update record. This is for a student. You will find this little black button. You can just click on that and add it directly into the student demographic, or the main page for the student. Okay. It is recommended that teachers have a CASAS login to record attendance. Yes, it is recommended. You can definitely allow students to have a login account or a user account in TOPS Pro Enterprise and you can limit them to their own classes, you can limit them to only view their own students, or you can create different access. You can give them access to list and view records only, and to enroll them on a class, or to add hours of instruction but not delete anything. And that is, we do have documentation of that on our website to do these type of features. And we can also work together with you one-on-one to set up a specific access group and give you all those recommendations, okay? You can definitely do that. All right, so we're moving forward, and we already took note of the daily attendance. Okay. Now, checking quality and completeness of your data. And for this, we do have a data integrity report. And in this case, is AEBG, data integrity, the one that we want to run. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to run the AEBG data integrity report, and basically in TOPS Pro Enterprise is to have reports. Oh, let's see if I can share my screen right now. Give me one. Share my screen. Okay, so I assume everybody is looking at my TOPS Pro Enterprise connection. I am logged in as administrator, number 23, and in order to run the TOPS Pro, the AEBG Data Integrity Report, we would need to click on the Reports menu. From the Reports menu, go to State Reports and California. Once we click on California, we'll find the AEBG first reports. So we need to choose the AEBG Data Integrity. And once we click on that, this screen will show up. As you can see, there are different sections. I always like to compress these sections because it looks a lot of information in here. So the first section includes the session name, which is just the name that it's going to be addressed on the name of the report. You can leave this on. This is by default. Or you can just call it Data Integrity on April 11th, which is sufficient to know when this report was created. It really depends. It's up to you if you want to leave the whole name in there. For common filters, these programs will be automatically selected because these are the AEBG approved programs, right? All these that are checked by default are the AEBG default programs. So there's nothing to change in here. I wouldn't recommend to make any changes. And the date ranges, I normally just generate it as is without being specific, but in this case we want to run the whole report for the whole data contained from the fiscal year to quarter 3. This will pick up data between July 1st and March 31st. That is if we do this selection, right? It will automatically do that. For output layout parameters, I wouldn't make any changes as well or any under the special options because these are the data flags that are selected to run this report properly. All right? So once you just go through these simple minor adjustments for fiscal year to quarter 3, if you're running it for third quarter, you can just click the Generate button on your upper area, and this should take a few moments for us to generate the report. Once the report is generated, you will see all the numbers. And this report viewer navigator, I'm going to unpin it so you can have a better look at this report. Okay. This will contain data from July 1st to March 31st. And as I am quickly scrolling down through these items, you'll see all the percentages towards the right and how many people are in these item descriptions. There are 27 items, 7B items. So back to our presentation. Let's see. There we go. Okay, this is our PowerPoint presentation. We went through a live demonstration on how to do the AEBG Data Integrity Report. Okay, I see a couple more questions in here. It says, can you add citizenship? Well, citizenship, it's listed there as a program, but if this citizenship program, it should fall under the ESL. especially for those agencies who have additional assessments, but we could probably have a separate discussion on that citizenship program. All right? That is correct. It falls under the ESL program. And especially for those who have additional assessments, a focus area must be selected. Okay? Right. Moving forward, the report setup window, like we saw previously, can be chosen. Those programs are set specifically to address AEBG programs. Those 7 programs are automatically selected, so there's no changes to do on there. And there are 9 programs selected. So if you set it up to fiscal year to quarter 3, you will be just adjusting data between July 1st and March 31st. Okay. And this summary information, this will show you those students who received the services but did not enroll in a specific class from those 7 AEBG programs, right? The students who enrolled in or received services, you will find it on the top section, students in the services section. So that means that those students either enrolled or received services or both. That should be on the total amount. And then students who achieved outcomes but are not enrolled in any of the AEBG programs, they will be listed under that other purple marked area. Okay. Now these students should be enrolled in an AEBG program in order to be able to claim outcome. All right. Okay. Our next slide will bring the data integrity report together so we can see these items in here. And as you can see, items 1 through 9, these are required elements that, like it says here, if missing, it could really affect your outcomes. These are really important items, starting from date of birth, hours of instruction, gender, race, ethnicity, all these very elemental demographic information about students could affect outcomes if they're not provided by the student. And you can see and monitor how many students you have with this report that have reported this information. The rest of the items from 10 to 25B, these will reflect the total on your database, including also items missing in the key fields or in the key items. You can always right-click. When you have a live report, you can always right-click on this item count, and you can drill down to address more information about these different items included on the report. Okay. I see other questions in here. Troubleshoot missing data when you use a third party to collect the initial data. Address this one. So these students in a CTE program, career post-test. Right, so students enrolled in a CTE program do not require to have a pre and a post-test. And they must be enrolled in a program as well as in a class if there are gains to be reported. For pre- and post-testing, remember, it's ESL, ABE, and ASC programs. And then, do we still enter an AEBG program for students we are required to track that are not part of AEBG? For example, we have students at the college and other ESL classes, but they are not funded by AEBG. So ESL classes, are they funded by WIOA, or are they part of, they're not funded by AEBG, but they're still ESL classes. And if they're still receiving services, then they should still be entered. sorry, I'm just trying to read this as fast as I can. But if some of these questions do not get answered right now, we can definitely address them a little bit later through tech support. All right, so Martha, can you please read up and get my question? Okay, Linda. If I use the Q3 date range on the data integrity report, will the accumulated hours still be captured for that period, even if I posted the hours for the month of March? Yes, definitely. The date is very important on when you report your hours because that continues to create the period of participation. Remember, a period of participation is contained within 90 days. So if you enter the hours for the proper corresponding month, you should be good with those students. I'm not sure if that addresses your question. Otherwise, you can always call us at our 800 number for tech support for further discussion. Okay. Our next slide is, well, it's what's next. It's your agency's data in TOPS Pro Enterprise. That is hosted on our own server. So you don't have like a locally installed TOPS Pro Enterprise that you may have to send us that data on an export file or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about TOPS Pro Enterprise data because it's already accessed or accessible on our online server. Basically, you'll just need to add your missing data or corrected items into TOPS Pro Enterprise and run your AEBG data integrity report. Once we receive that data integrity report, that is our signal that we can go grab your data for analysis. Okay, so now on how to generate the report, we went to the live demonstration, but it's basically go to the reports menu, select State Reports, California, AEBG, Data Integrity. Once you have that report generated, you can export it as a PDF file, and then attach it into an email and send it over to aebg@casas.org. And you also should send it to your designated consortium data manager for their records. And that's it. That's very simple. Send us the report by April 30th. All right. There's here are the phone numbers that you can call it, or just the phone number that you can call is 1-800-255-1036, option number 2. The email is techsupport@casas.org, and several members monitor this email address for better support. Let's see. Let me see other questions that we haven't addressed. It seems that we have different items. We have questions in regards to the different items in the data integrity report. And I see that somebody is questioning about 24, or is asking about 24, achieved AEBG outcome for post-secondary. So these are outcomes that were updated for some students and who have not received. We can definitely address that on a separate conversation. I would encourage you to commit this number to memory, 1-800-255-1036, option number 2. Like Veronica says, a recording of this webinar will be available later on today, and also this email address, techsupport@casas.org, for any questions in regards to the software that you may have. If it sounds like it's not a technical question, but you still have questions about how to run the report or enter data, we will make sure that we can pass it on to the proper party for assistance. All right. I'm not sure if there are any other questions. Let me see. I have other. There Fixing gender problems. My school has called both tech support for CASAS and ASAP, and no one can help us fix this. Oh, gosh. Apple Valley has called every quarter for the last 6 quarters. I'm hopeful that this can be resolved in the upcoming quarter. Okay, Adele, this sounds like a technical issue that should be fixed if you use ASAP, like is here on the question. ASAP has approved files unless they did an update to their system and they're not exporting the gender successfully as they should. But we do have a document on our website, on the CASAS.org website. Let me see if I can bring that screen up here. So the CASAS website contains a wealth of information for you to go to and download information. Let me share my screen again, Veronica, if you don't mind. I'm going to bring over the CASAS.org website to share different resources, if that's okay. So this is the CASAS.org website. Let me see if I can increase that for better view. So this is the home page, CASAS.org. And I would direct you to go to Training and Support. This is where you want to go to and download any of our documents that we have available. For TOPS Pro Enterprise, we have TOPS Pro Enterprise Help link. I would click on that. And here you can find other categories and key reports. You can download any of these available documentation. And the one that I want to show you right now is the data exchange. This data exchange will contain other downloadable PDFs, but this is the one that I wanted to show you, exchanging data with third-party systems. This document, this specifics, has the specifics on exchanging the data with different attendance systems. And it has specifications, and it depends here. It really gives you all the specs about each type of file. In this case, the demographic data should bring the gender on, and it has, let me go to page 10 really quick, and this can definitely have an impact on what you're bringing over from your attendance system. So gender, you can find it here, and either it's 1 for male, 2 for female, and if you don't know the gender, then 0 or 3. But it really has a very specific coding to be able to import data into TOPS Pro Enterprise. So you can definitely, going back to the CASAS TOPS Pro Enterprise Help, you can also find additional information under Training and Support. And before I was clicking on TOPS Pro Enterprise Help, but if you click on eTests Online Help, I wanted to point you to these CASAS Online Basics and also the Online System Nuts and Bolts, which were used on past Summer Institute. This user access document will explain deeper on access groups and how you can enable access to your teachers and be able to restrict them to do what the only thing that they need to do and not look at other data or be able to, jeopardize any other data or specific records for other students. So if we open this up, this will show us the specifics on how to provide user access to your staff members and to create and to manage them through access groups. Okay? And you can always call us at the 800 number that we have available. All right, so I don't know if there are any other questions. I'm going to go back to the screen. There we go. To this PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So if there are any other questions, I would thank you for joining this meeting. If anybody else has any other questions, I would really thank you to send them to techsupport@casas.org. So every quarter, yeah, I see another question from Erica. It looks, yeah, we do have to send this data integrity report every quarter. AEBG DIR goes to aebg@casas.org. And she's also asking about the NRS DIR for those who also have the WIOA funding. Yeah, the NRS DIR should also be generated and sent by the deadline, which is the same, April 30th, to CAPM, CAPM@casas.org.
All right,
Not a CAPM
Martha, thank you so much for this webinar today. Ryan, I see your question about the webinar recording. It is being recorded at this time and will be available on the AEBG website later on this afternoon. So please be sure to look there for the complete webinar recording as well as a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. In addition, we will be sending the transcripts of the questions for today's webinar. So the transcripts will contain the questions as well as answers, and those will be emailed to everyone who participated in today's webinar directly. The turnaround time I am not sure of at this time. Hopefully a day or two to get these the transcripts with the questions and the answers to you all. So please be on the lookout for that. I'm not exactly sure about the turnaround time, but I'm hoping for a day or two since I know the April 30th submission deadline is coming upon us. Thank you all so much for your time today and for participating in today's webinar. When I close the webinar, you will receive an evaluation. Please be sure to fill out that evaluation and give us your feedback about today's webinar. In addition, Jay will be on tomorrow with another CASAS data reporting webinar, so please be sure to register for that webinar and attend. It will be tomorrow here at the AEBG CASAS room beginning at 12 o'clock noon. Thank you all so much for participating today, and we will see you tomorrow if you join. Have a great day.